Good morning and welcome to the Market Review, where we discuss developments in the financial and capital market as relates to the economy. Today we're looking at the recent response and updates released by the Securities and Exchange Commission and its implications for the fintech space. The Securities and Exchange Commission, speaking on the directive by the Central Bank of Nigeria to the banking system, restricting them from transactions with cryptocurrency, has also brought a lot of discussion. So SEC has issued this statement monitoring the situation and ready to work with the Central Bank of Nigeria to address what will be the risk. We'll be discussing that and the strategy for the fintech industry as it impacts the capital market. With me to lead this conversation is Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, Chief Operating Officer of Fintech Nigeria. Good morning and nice to have you on the program.
Good morning, Otto. Thanks for having me.
Now, let's look at the mandate of the Securities and Exchange Commission. A lot of people that play in the digital asset space are aware that the Securities and Exchange Commission, based on the Section 13 of 2007 Investment and Securities Act, has that guidelines to monitor and give direction to the activities of digital asset space. For you, as the Chief Operating Officer of Fintech Association of Nigeria, how do you see the mandate of SEC in ensuring that there is a fair and efficient securities market in approaching the digital asset space?
Well, okay, I think that it's good to have some bit of background to this. In 2018, there was the Fintech Roadmap for the Capital Market, which was a stakeholder engagement. And as part of that document, they need to look at collaboration, innovation, and the digital asset space was one of the things that was discussed. And from that document, we've seen regulations on crowdfunding. We've seen also the framework for blockchain and digital assets. So SEC, based on its mandate, can actually regulate digital assets. So, that was a very good document that came out last year in terms of the framework for blockchain and digital assets. So I think that SEC is positioned to do that. Obviously, the regulations have not been fully ironed out before the CBN circular came out. But I think that it's something that would need to be. So there's this argument: are the currencies, are the assets? That conflict is an issue. But I think that let's focus on the fact that they should be treated. And what the committee recommended, that they should be looked at as assets. So which will operate just like you buy stocks. So and I think that what is missing really is the interoperability between regulators to be able to have ironed some of this out before these circulars came out. There's no doubt that, when you look at the CBN, no responsible regulator will like a conflicting currency within an economy. So, they have a right to do whatever they need to do. If how it is done is another ball game entirely. When you look at India just did the same thing on Friday, but gave 6 months. So maybe what we need to appeal to the regulator, fine, you have a responsibility, it's within your duty to do what you have done, but can we phase it out gradually? Because, regulators look at three things: economic impact of a product, consumer protection, investor protection. In this case, even consumers are affected because exchanges are carrying hundreds of millions of consumers' money. So how do they pay back these consumers if you have closed their accounts? So those are issues. But SEC's mandate covers digital assets, and I think that's just the summary of it.
Yeah, I think follow up to what you just said now, when you talked about the need for interoperability between the regulators. If you look at that first issuance, that was September 11, 2020, that's circular. SEC said the crypto assets, how it is viewed, is first a medium of exchange, Second, a unit of accounts. And thirdly, a store of value, but does not have legal tender in any jurisdiction. So definitely the need for the cooperation, like SEC has committed to discussing with Central Bank of Nigeria further on this. And I know that the Fintech Association of Nigeria has the RegTech, has this RegGov initiative. How is that strengthening this need for interoperability, even bringing in the National Insurance Commission and other regulators in the financial market space?
Okay, great. So the Reguvators Forum was actually inaugurated last year, and we've only had one meeting. The second meeting is next week, 23rd. And I think it's really a good time for that next meeting. Yes. Because the whole idea is a Regulator Forum, regulators and innovators. The one thing that is constant is that innovation is always ahead of regulation all over the world. How do we bridge that gap? And that was the whole concept of this Regulator Forum, where we can sit together with regulators, discuss issues that affect the ecosystem, and how we can have a win-win situation to it. So this particular meeting, obviously, will be looking at these issues, because really there are three agencies that are critical to the issue of digital assets. There's NITDA, there's SEC, and there's the central bank. So, I mean, if SEC says digital assets I recognize digital assets, and CBN says, no, you can't run accounts. Nothing is going to happen because you need accounts to be able to do, you have to open bank accounts. So we need that handshake, that interoperability amongst regulators to look at these issues, and come up with, and let's agree. Apart from that, it should be a stakeholder forum where all interested parties are brought together, that we all can live there and be able to say, fine, this is what works. There's no doubt that regulators need to do their work. I mean, I'm one person who I've always advocated that a financial system is as stable as regulations that govern it. However, what should be regulated? How should it be regulated? How do we ensure that regulation does not stifle creativity, does not stifle innovation, and also ensure that the economy grows? So we have to strike that balance in whatever it's going that needs to be done. That's extremely important. So this forum will, we believe that, I mean, like I said, the forum is young, but the potentials to solve a lot of issues within the ecosystem is huge, because we can all sit together and discuss these issues and go back and forth and have solutions to them. The problems are created so that we can create solutions to them. Problems are not created so that we can run away from them. So, I mean, so we need to have that interaction to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's very proactive, because I know that the Fintech Association of Nigeria looks at accelerating the process in the industry, advocacy, and of course, this deep stakeholder engagement. So looking forward to that Reguvators Forum again, and definitely there should be some handshake, deeper handshake and interaction with relevant regulators, like you said. Well, let's look at the concerns raised by experts. Yes, the crypto assets, digital assets, blockchain, there are a lot of use cases, what it can be used to do, but there's also the risk, and of course the risks are enormous across the globe. People put in money, wake up, and they lose a lot. Now, in managing this risk globally, and of course, like the Central Bank of Nigeria highlighted, there has been concerns. For example, in the UK, the Financial Conduct Authority that regulates activities in the financial markets, spread across even to the capital, issued its advisory, and even this year, January 2021, warning investors that, look, if you're putting in investments in crypto assets, you have to be very careful, it's very risky. That's the advisory from the FCA. But interestingly, which we'll still speak further on, the Security and Exchange Commission in the US set up what we call the FinHub. It's a standalone body that's reporting to the SEC chairman, and they're taking the important step, like you said, to engage with new and emerging technologies to create that fair and efficient securities market. So in terms of managing this risk of digital assets like crypto for the essence of investor protection, how is the Fintech Association of Nigeria looking at this, and what are the best steps? I know that it's good to give the advisory, but there's still the need to manage the risk.
So risks need to be managed and mitigated. But the issue is this: there's risk everywhere. There's risk in real estate. There's risk in auto business. There's risk even in from risk of driving out of your house to the next street. So there are risks. I mean, all over the place. So how do we mitigate this risk? I would feel that once SEC recognizes it as digital assets, all operators need to register with SEC. See, depending on the volatility that is being placed on it. So even when you do risk analysis, you place different risk levels on different products. So if this is high risk, it should be such that all the exchanges have APIs that link them with maybe NFIU, such that as accounts are opened, as deposits are made, as withdrawals are made, there's real-time updates, not waiting till the end of the month to do an update. Because really, if you're going to buy an asset, you need cash. I mean, when I say cash, you have to do a transfer or what have you to your stockbroker. Your stockbroker buys the stocks. So at that point of making that payment, or by the time you have an account, all KYC and AML related compliance must be ensured, And so if I'm transferring money to an exchange, there's documentation that, hi, Babatunde, I've transferred 1 million naira. It's there, and it's been used to buy 2 Bitcoins, right? If I am selling tomorrow, it will be there that I sold and this amount of money was credited to my account. Because really the biggest frauds you have are really in cash. So if you're buying an asset, the asset is an asset. It's there as a Bitcoin. I mean, and you can say it. If I'm moving from that to cash, that's where the challenge has been. People can use for. So anybody that is doing any cash transaction, it must create a red flag, and you can check that it's actually a valid transaction. This guy bought and sold. But if something else is happening, then that's when the red flag is really investigated. We believe, I mean, I'm trying to simplify it, I mean, so that we don't go into the complications of it. But I think that this should be a transaction that because the regulators are not comfortable, it should be that reporting is real time. It's not at the end of the month, you send your returns to NFIU. No, NFIU must be able to see this on a daily as the transactions are happening. And I believe that these are achievable, I mean, with good RegTech solutions, and APIs linking the NFIU or even SEC, it would SEC to CBN to the exchanges. This can be, this is achievable.
Very much achievable. I like the part that says that we need to have that periodic reports required on transactions, and also even other experts are suggesting we ensure that there's a KYC for all the players in the industry, just to know what is happening, to drive accountability, like you said, and transparency, which are the concerns of the Central Bank of Nigeria on digital assets and operators, and those are issues. Now, what's your perspective? I know you've been driving this, and through the efforts of Fintech Association of Nigeria, we had the Securities and Exchange Commission launch that roadmap for FinTech 2018. Also, SEC has this regulatory incubation framework for FinTech firms who are focused on innovative capital market products. And this is important because you need to deepen market inclusion, get back-rated investors, get people to really relate more with the markets. How has this framework been with the involvement of Fintech Association of Nigeria working with SEC on the incubation framework? And what can you take to the Central Bank of Nigeria, who also has been working on a sandbox for operators in the industry? Okay,
for SEC, I know that you're right on their website. You can actually register to be on that platform, and it has started well. I'm sure, I mean, you to always get better. I mean, anything that starts always have its fitting problems and what have you. So, I mean, so for me, that is not a challenge. The fact that they have started is very encouraging. I mean, and I know a couple of fintechs are already on that program. So we expect that we start to see the benefits of that and how it affects, I mean, products coming into the market, how fintechs perform, and the speed at which approvals are obtained, because the regulator can now see what exactly the fintech is trying to do and what the product entails. Because really, regulators can't regulate technology, you can only regulate products. So you can see the product, you can see how technology affects it and how it benefits the consumer, how investors are protected, and how it impacts on the economy. The same thing that will happen with the central bank. I mean, the regulation is out, the process is out. The implementation is what needs to really kick off now. So as an association, I mean, we're always open to talk to regulators, giving our suggestions, which we did. We had our input in the sandbox document. So we would like to see the implementation start, such that a lot of young startups can get on those on the sandbox and they can get approvals. We hope that that will eventually influence how licenses will be issued, and even the cost of licensing, which has been an issue that, I mean, licenses are expensive. So if a product is good and the potentials are there, you can see how it's going to translate into profit, then it will be easier to probably get more investors to come into and support these startups so that they can acquire their licenses. For example, one of the things we want to do next week, we have our usual monthly webinar, but this one is Investors Meet Innovators. So we have 5 startups that are going to show what they are doing. Investors will also be there to talk about the opportunities that are available within the country for funding. And maybe one of those 5 startups might actually get an investor that will buy into their product and be able to support them. So, I mean, we believe that it can only get better for the ecosystem with the sandboxes that are being set up by both regulators.
I mean, yesterday I was even having a conversation with a colleague and told her, look, if it comes to investments, fintech has been like a key driver of that in Nigeria. I remember having this conversation with you first quarter last year, and you talked about $50 million, but before the end of the year, I can estimate that about almost $300 million came in investment. So definitely regulations is critical. Investors are watching the statements and the signals from regulators, and I can understand better why Fintech Association of Nigeria continues to engage, because it's very key. Now, these directives and these developments, how is it impacting your members? How are you engaging your members? Definitely, they will have their concerns also.
Yes, they have their concerns. Maybe people I think that you're not hearing us making speeches and comments, because we want to adopt a more matured approach to this whole issue. I mean, like I said, the regulators have their roles to play. We need to appreciate the fact that they have to do those roles. We need to also look at the fact that engaging them is much better than confronting them. So we have a lot of discussions ongoing on this, and we want to be able to come back to our members. We've actually informed our members. Those are exchanges of what we're doing, and we hope that by the time some of these engagements, the discussion from all of these engagements, we'll be able to go back to them. Look, this is what is going to happen. I mean, except we want to deceive ourselves. When regulators make such decisions, they will not immediately overnight just reverse whatever they have done. So we know that it's going to take some time, but engagement is good, that we can go back and forth, they can look at the issues, and that we have a win-win situation out of this. So, I mean, there's a lot going on, and with regulators, National Assembly, and whatever. So we are working.
That even brings me, you just mentioned the National Assembly. They also raised some of these concerns, the Senate, and they also want to have a special hearing summoning the CBN and SEC. How's your engagement been with the legislators? Because legislations are very key. I mean, you talk about investments. Fintech is a big gold mine for investment, attracting investments into the economy. And experts and economists have talked to several of them, have identified the ecosystem of fintech in the ICT as one key sector that will continue to drive the economy. I mean, there's a lot that can happen there. Exporting services through digital tech, that's virtual workstations, having the payments, which has really done a lot in the industry, and of course, even in short tech, various parts of the ecosystem, there are a lot of potentials. How key is legislation? And you always mention this too, that the feedback you get is regulators, policy statements. How again is important for this to be addressed to ensure that we attract more investment? I'm looking at this year, things are stabilizing. We should attract more than $500 million compared to last year. We understand that was a pandemic.
Yes, we are trying to make that inroad with the legislators to understand the entire ecosystem. I mean, not just because there is this crisis that is on crypto, but to really understand the entire ecosystem. As you understand, for us as an association, we're just not just about fintech. We have 18 sectors of the economy in the association. So to understand how technology is critical to the growth of the economy, because either we innovate or we die. So how do we ensure that there are laws that support technological growth, that support creativity, that support innovation across board, and including this current issue which has to do with the cryptocurrency. I mean, there's no doubt that, I mean, the blockchain technology is critical or important for growth. So there's a need to let legislators see the full gamut, not just one bit of it, but the entire gamut of the benefits of technological growth across board.
Now, Dr. Obrimah, last year I engaged you on what we will project for investment and the outlook for the fintech industry. But let's look at the capital market. This whole structure, SEC fintech mandate and strategy for the capital market, how is it going to really help to deepen activities in the capital market and transform it? Nigeria's capital market continues to push for being not just the leader in Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, but globally competitive in terms of attracting investments.
Okay, so I mean, in the fintech roadmap, one of the things that was said there was that there was a need for collaboration between SEC, PENCOM, NICOM, NITDA, the central bank, to be able to see how we can harness local funds for the fintech ecosystem. I mean, since the likes of the PENCOM, the PFAs can only invest in securities, if we can encourage and create that awareness for investment in intellectual property, which is one of the big challenges we have in the economy.
Yes.
You know, so that's why 95, 96%, even 99% are FDIs into that sector. So once we can look at how we can get the Nigerian investor to understand how the benefits of investing in intellectual properties, it will change those dynamics. And the SEC, this roadmap for the fintech, for the capital market will be achievable. I mean, I think there was this analysis that, look, Y Combinator invested $120,000 in Paystack, 2015, and walked away with $12 million. You don't get that kind of return anywhere, not even in real estate. So, I mean, there's that waiting period. If you're willing to wait that curve, that 5 to 7 year curve on the fintech investment, the returns are always very, very good. So it's been able to get people to understand that waiting period, and you can compare returns on investment with other sectors of the economy. So education is critical, and then we hope that other funds, you know, the other agencies, I mean, like NICOM, PENCOM, we're able to allow their insurance companies, PFAs, to invest in the fintech ecosystem.
Yeah, that's very, very important. I mean, mobilizing local funds and investing more in the potentials of the fintech industry. Just speaking about intellectual property, recently we just did a story around the recent conversation between the Minister Ministry of Science and Technology and the World Interoperability Organization, where the federal government says it's committed to improving, developing the IP framework in the country. So that's one area. I know that Fintech Association of Nigeria interacts with the Ministry of Science and Technology, and several times in your summit, either him, Dr. Obrimah, or has sent representatives to speak at the summit. So definitely, there's a lot of potentials in driving the industry and technology. And hopefully, the advocacy and collaboration, Reguvators, and all these networks would help to bring more investments and confidence. SEC sets out a strategy for the fintech space, all with the goal of developing our capital market to global standards. Thank you very much, Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, for this very interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing the outcomes of your interactions with regulators, because all eyes are watching this trend of development as we see the digital asset space gaining traction and the need for effective regulation for a fair and efficient market. Thank you once again. Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, Chief Operating Officer, Fintech Association of Nigeria, speaking on the SEC Capital Market Fintech Strategy in Nigeria. And that'll be all for this edition of the Market Review. You can join our website, www.proshareng.com, to watch our videos and read our news stories and reports, especially interesting developments around the blockchain crypto space and regulatory statements made by the Securities and Exchange Commission and Central Bank of Nigeria. Log on to our website and click on it to get all those reports and analysis. Send your views and comments or questions to news@proshareng.com. We'll be glad to receive them and respond to you appropriately. Till we come away again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.